goodness. Hello, Oki, and thank you everyone for coming to watch the town halls. I'm Jonathan Diaz, and I'm running for the position of ULSU president for the next year. I'm currently in my 5th year of a bachelor's degree in general major sciences, mainly in physics and math. 5 years ago, I arrived at the University of Lethbridge, uncertain of who I was and uncertain of where I was going to fit in. Thankfully, I found a community and a place of belonging in residence, in the organization of resident students, and then eventually in the Students' Union. I have been a residence assistant for 2 years, and then last year I had the opportunity of being the ORS president, who also serves as the residence representative on the General Assembly. This was really my first introduction to the Students' Union as a whole, and it clued me into actually the important work of this organization. The work of advocating on behalf of those living in residence was a task I found great importance in, and I wanted to continue that work. So, perhaps in a greater, wider focus. So this year I am on the General Assembly again as a arts and science rep, and I also served a little bit of advocacy as VP Transition for PACT, which is a club aligned with the Alumni Association and advancement here at the university. The ULSU president serves as one of the main spokespersons and advocate for the ULSU and students of the university to the university upper admin and various communities that make the U of L, make up the U of L, the Council of Alberta University Students, CAUS, and the Canadian Alliance of Student Associations, CASA, and to the government at all levels. This is a huge responsibility, and one that I foresee will be one of my biggest responsibilities for the next year, should I be elected. With the decisions being made in regard to student fees, tuition, and the provincial budget, I've had conversations already with some of the current exec members and some of the candidates for the future positions. I've had these conversations about what these plans might look like next year. Should we be elected? What does a tangible and viable campaign in regards to advocacy on these issues look like here at the U of L? Does that look like what it has in the past, like decades ago, a march down Mayor McGrath? Does it look like the ULSU pursuing a position of leadership in cause and making known our specific priorities, especially when it comes to the SU or the U of L? Advocacy on behalf of the students of U of L is incredibly important for the SU president to consider and uphold every single year, and this year is, in my mind, particularly important. The past year, as well, one of my priorities comes from the opportunity I've had to sit on the strategic planning committee, which hasn't actually had a strategic plan active for the last decade or so. The plan that we have developed include 3 focuses to be worked on by future General Assemblies and SUs for the next 5 years or so. And those priorities are building brand recognition, institutional continuity, and diversifying revenue. Should I be elected, my term will be the first year that this plan would actually be in effect, and I think it's important to have a first good, strong step towards achieving those goals outlined in this plan. I particularly want to focus on the goal of continuity, which I think contains a large component of support to both the EC and the General Assembly. The president, with their more open-ended portfolio as compared to the other executives, can be in a position to help support the other execs in all of their different initiatives and goals. We've all heard this support will also be focused in helping the other members of the General Assembly achieve the goals they've set out for themselves to do. We've all heard some amazing speeches over the last today and yesterday, and many of those speeches contained very specific initiatives that they wanted to carry out. I know I had some goals in mind when I ran for positions the last 2 years, and sometimes it's incredibly difficult to get those, to figure out what it takes to make those things become reality. This year we've had some amazing initiatives being done by the General Assembly, such as Let's Talk About Sex, to meet the GA Day, to the possibility of bringing an Indigenous speaker to campus. In order to be able to put on events and initiatives of this caliber, reps need a helping hand to figure out what budgets they can pull from, who to talk to in order to book different things, and what else needs to get done in order to fulfill their promises of when they were campaigning. Lastly, over my time here at the U of L, and especially the last 2 years, I've learned about an issue that has been identified here on campus, and one that I empathize with particularly, and that is food insecurity. 26% of our students face food insecurity to some measure. And while the university has taken some steps towards combating this in terms of the Nourish program with a bunch of different groups, I still believe there's still a lot of work to be done. Out of even the whole student population, only 7.4% of our population actually have reported to use the ULSU's food bank. So I think a large component of this will be to make it known that this service exists for all of our students, and it's okay that to make use of it. There shouldn't be any stigma to needing food and having to eat, and going hungry is not a thing any student should have to go through. Should I be elected, I also want to create some greater ties with SU and the Nourish campaign, and as well as the Food for Thought Committee in general, to find ways that ULSU can help combat this issue that affects so many of our students. This is only going to become a larger issue with the prospect of further tuition increases, and I want to do all that I can to help ease some of the burdens of our students. So, over the last 5 years at this university, the U of L has become a home away from home for me. And the various communities that make this campus up have given me so much. And I'm excited at the opportunity to give back. In this speech, I've outlined some goals of mine going into the next year, but I don't think I'm not so naive as to assume that any of these plans will survive the actual real life of next year. I do look forward to adapting these plans with whatever may come up, especially with the budget coming out tomorrow after the town hall. And I do look forward to learning on the fly, and I do look forward to making the most out of the next year. Thank you to everyone who's attending, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you.